going to be the practice solution for the 12 Days of Christmas practice problem that was proposed at the end of the static methods tutorial. So the goal is to write a program that uses static methods to print out the 12 Days of Christmas song in such a way that no line is printed using a system.out.println call more than once. So things to consider are what to make a method and when to call the methods. So I have this set up with the 12 Days of Christmas.txt file here on the right, and then my IntelliJ open on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and do it in my static methods package, do new Java class 12 Days of Christmas. And this is because I did 12, the word here, because class names, like variable names, can't start with numbers. So I'm going to say OK. Then double click to get rid of that pane on the side. And I'm going to go ahead and write in my main method. So public static void main string args. And now I want to start thinking about the methods that I want. Looking at the 12 Days of Christmas song, it looks like it would make sense to have a method per stanza, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put in the skeleton for all of those. So public static void first stanza. So second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 10th, 11th, 12th. And these red lines are telling me that you can't have two methods that are named the same thing. At least not with the same parameters, which is something we're going to cover in a later tutorial. So it should be second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th. Is that how you spell that? I'm going to say it's how you spell it. Okay. And these under underline is just telling us that this method is never used. So to head that off, I'm going to go ahead and fill in my main method with all those calls to the different stanzas. So I'm going to do first stanza, second stanza, third stanza, fourth stanza, fifth stanza, sixth stanza, seventh stanza, eighth stanza, ninth stanza, 10th, 11th, 12th. Okay, so right now I don't have any prints, so if I were to do run, and click 12 days and pick 12 Days of Christmas, nothing got printed, right? Because there are no printlns yet. But I want to start getting those built up. So the first thing I notice is everyone ends with a partridge in a pear tree. So I probably want to have a method for that. And I'm going to call that method first stanza body. So I'm going to say public static void first stanza body. And in that, it's just going to be system.out.println apart. I'm going to copy this so I don't fat finger anything. Partridge in a pear tree. Okay. So now that'll take care of this line. So that's the one and only time I'm allowed to have a println for a partridge in a pear tree. And the only other part of the first stanza is this line. So I'm going to put that here. System.out.println. And now I want to call first stanza body to finish out the first stanza. Okay, so now when I hit play, I have the first stanza taken care of. Cool. So now I want to keep doing this same thought process all the way through the rest of the stanzas. So I notice that the second stanza is a partridge in a pear tree, and then 2 turtle doves, and these same 2 lines get repeated over and over again from the second stanza forward. So I probably want a method that is just these 2 lines. But since I've already used my one time to print this line, that probably means I'll call first stanza body inside of whatever is printing this stanza. So that probably means I want another body method. So I'm going to do public static void second stanza body. And this is going to have system.out.println 2 turtle doves. And then it's going to call first stanza body. And then this is going to have system.out.println on the second day of Christmas. And then it's going to call second stanza body. Okay, so now the first and second stanzas are done. And so now the third stanza is just second stanza body plus 3 French hens, right? So I'm going to have public static void third stanza body, and it's going to be 3 French hens, and then just a call to second stanza body. And at the top of that third stanza, it's going to be on the third day of Christmas. And a call to third stanza body. So we're building up as we go. So now if we hit run, we see, right, that we have first stanza, second stanza, third stanza, just like we want it, except there's not a space between them. And the way we could fix that by putting a system.out.println, an empty system.out.println at the end of every stanza. Or, since we know that this happens at the end of every stanza as well, we can just do, a new line there, right? Because this is the escape sequence for new line. So now if I play, and it compiles and runs, I have the new lines between every stanza like I expected. Cool. So I'm just going to keep doing the same pattern for the rest of the stanzas. So public static void fourth stanza body. third stanza. Fifth, fourth, and for the fifth, it's 5 goldens, and then we have the sixth stanza, which calls fifth stanza body, and it's 6 geese laying. And we have the seventh stanza body, and it's 7 swans a swimming, and sixth stanza body. And then we have 8th stanza body, and it calls 7th stanza body with 8 maids a milking. And we have 9th stanza body, and it calls 8th stanza body with 9 ladies dancing. Oops, 9 ladies dancing. And this is the 10th stanza, so it calls 9th stanza body with 10 lords a leaping. And then there's the 11th stanza body, and it calls 10th stanza body, and it has 11 pipers piping. Finally, the last one, there's the 12th stanza body, and it calls 11th stanza body, and it has 12 drummers drumming. Okay, so now we've set up all the body parts for all of our stanzas, right? And we just need to actually finish out the stanzas from the 4th stanza forward. So, for the sake of going quickly, I'm going to go ahead and put in these empty print statements and all of them, so I can just copy their headers in. 10th, 11th, 12th. Okay, so 5th stanza, actually it starts with the 4th, right? Because that's the one we haven't. I don't want that new line character. So now I can call 4th stanza body in there. And then on the 5th day, I can call 5th stanza body. I should have picked a shorter song, this is so long. But it gets the point across really well. And then there's the 6th stanza, and it calls 6th stanza body. And then the 7th stanza, and it calls 7th stanza body. And the 8th, which calls 8th stanza body. ninth, which calls ninth stanza body. 10th, which calls 10th stanza body. And then there's the 11th, which calls 11th stanza body. And there's the 12th, which calls 12th stanza body. Okay, so that is the entire program. There's a method per stanza that prints out each one. And then there's a body method per stanza that prints out this part that gets built up over time as the song progresses. So now, and I can tell from this that there are no red squigglies, so I know that I don't have any compile errors. This is probably telling me that I misspelled 12. Yep, that's okay. I'm going to leave it. And this yellow here on the side is telling me that this access can be private because I'm not using it anywhere outside of this class. And that's just a warning that we can ignore. We'll talk about public versus private in a later tutorial when it actually makes sense to get into it. So I'm going to hit run. And if we look at this output, it's the entire 12 Days of Christmas song, just like we expected. And it builds up with every new stanza a new line. And that's it. I hope that was helpful. This is sort of a nitty-gritty example, but it goes to show how things can be called in sequence to build up over time, and how procedural decomposition can be really helpful for splitting up problems.